This is the 80-year-old Hutterite man who came over to see us because he just had to hear this car take off. And this is the beautiful set of 11s we painted only a few seconds earlier that led him to come out of his field and investigate where the massive cloud of smoke came from. When he requested to watch us pull away, we couldn't say no.
I have got to watch you pull out.
He wanted to see what it was all about.
Everybody likes the car.
It's hard to hate this car.
2 seconds earlier.
She's a little rowdy. Woo! Tire smoke.
God damn.
Currently on my way to Velocity Motorsport in Edmonton, where we are going to pick up some goodies for the Jag. We got a upper pulley, lower pulley tune combo going on this car, which isn't a ton of hardware, but it is going to make a ton of difference. Stock, the Supercharger spins at approximately 11 to 12,000 RPM. Should be spinning at approximately 19,000 RPM with the new goodies. Pretty wide range, but most guys see a 100 to 200 wheel horsepower increase as a range depending on a varying degree of factors. But we shall see. Currently on way now. We're gonna go pick up parts here and go get them installed in the car. A lot of money for a small box. See how it looks like she's all here. And it's gonna be really exciting to go get this stuff on the car. Get the car on the dyno, see what we can make. We're here in the shop with the XFR, about to get going on some of the maintenance items to get this thing ready to eat a ton more boost. Just got back from S&M, had this thing on the dyno for our initial pulls to see what it's making. And in stock form, we made about 457 and 457. So across the board, that's very good, it's very healthy. The car's in good shape. We are going to start a few different maintenance items to get it ready for more power. We want to go through and make sure all our fluids are fresh, make sure the air filters are fresh and clean, and make sure the supercharger's happy and in healthy shape with a good coupler before we spin it about twice as fast as it spins stock. And the first thing on the list will be to get the air filters out and get them clean. As far as the air filters go, got an assortment of Torx bolts there and there. We got the air filters out of the car. They are absolutely filthy, but the intakes are clean. They've been doing their job. The back sides are clean and good. It's just the undersides that are dirty. I'm gonna give those a clean. Get the battery disconnected here. I'm gonna start pulling apart all the intake piping so we can get at the belts and everything on the front of the engine to check to see if the supercharger coupler is good. I've got receipts saying that it was previously replaced on this car very recently, but want to get my eyes on it to see if we're going to replace that coupler or not. All right, so we've got the intake off the car, battery is disconnected, air filters are being washed so they can be ready and clean when it goes back together. Next step, got it all open here, got to figure out if the coupler is to be trustworthy that the shop just did. Should be good, but I want to check and get a feel on the twist of this without the belt on so we can feel if the coupler seems good and everything seems happy. And if so, we'll probably wait for now on pulling apart the supercharger and putting in a solid coupler, especially because there might already actually be a solid coupler in there. I'm not sure what the shop replaced it with. It didn't say on the receipts and the previous owner didn't know. So we're gonna get the belt off, check out the supercharger and go from there. All right, so we have the belt pulled off the supercharger and she's nice and smooth. There's no back and forth. Everything feels happy, spins freely. You can tell it is, I think, a sprung coupler because I can feel the spring, but it seems to be doing its job correctly. Doesn't seem to have any issues. So I think we're just gonna swap out the pulley for now. We're just uploading the factory tune file from the car as we speak. So we can send that off to Velocity so they can send me back the new tune file for all the goodies. The car is going through its stuff, freaking out, all sorts of error messages, popping up with just all sorts of everything, but that's completely normal when you tune a car like this. You can see the bar at the bottom, we're almost there. And then we can go, use the installer, email it to them via the instructions, and then we can get our file back, upload it to the car, see how much power we're making. All right, so next step in the process, pretty simple stuff, getting an oil change done. Car's just due for one. We're putting in really good AMSOIL synthetic signature series oil. These cars make an oil change extremely simple. It's actually quite cool as long as you have the correct tools. Oil filter right there, simple cartridge type. And then to do the actual oil change itself, it requires a fancy tool, but once you have said fancy tool, makes life insanely easy because there is a pickup tube right here you plug right onto that goes down into the bottom of the sump. It's meant specifically for this. So we've got our extractor here. It's gonna pump it up and it's pulling all of our oil into our holding tank. As you can see right there, we're already about here. This is a 9-liter tank. The car holds about 7.3 liters of oil, if I remember correct. So this should be perfect. You can get it nice and drained out, put in some fresh oil, put in a fresh filter, and we're good to go. Next step is going to be get this pulley off. And it's a lot easier to pull this pulley off if we pull the snout off, but pulling the snout off is gonna be a massive pain in the ass. And we have a couple of different pullers here at the shop. I got a harmonic balancer puller that I'm gonna try. But thing one, to try and help our chances, we are going to try and heat this up a bit, maybe loosen it up, expand it a bit. Hopefully it'll come off in a good, easy fashion. So we've got something a little bit redneck set up, but we're gonna see if it works. I don't have a proper pulley puller here at the moment, but I do have a harmonic balancer puller. And so we've got that rigged up, and it's a little bit overkill, but trying to get a good grip on it, just use some seriously beefy zip ties to hold it compressed on, and it seems to be working thus far. I ran out of grip with just my hand on the harmonic balancer puller, and so we've got some rags, good old pair of vice grips holding the pulley so it can give me something to leverage against, and we'll see here if we can get this to pop. Tried the 3-jaw puller. All we ended up doing was bending over lips, and it's not biting very nicely. So it's too bad because now the stock pulley is ruined, but it's also kind of a win because now I can cut it off and I don't have to feel guilty at all about wrecking it. Getting the upper pulley removed ended up becoming quite the task. The correct way to do this for future reference definitely would have been to plan ahead in advance and order the correct pulley puller. For us, given the circumstances, it would have taken too long for the correct puller to arrive, so we went through with this the hard way. Eventually, we did end up getting the old pulley removed, but it took a lot of fancy work with the grinder and essentially turning the old pulley into liquid. But eventually, we did get a win, even if it took us till 1 a.m. After that, we placed the new pulley hub on and we were good to go. We're back for day 2. We did finally get a win last night with the Supercharger pulley, which is good, because that was probably to be the most painstaking part of this process. I know some guys, when they do this, they end up having to clearance the Supercharger snout, but we've got plenty of room. It's not bound up. The new pulley fits on exactly like it should. Try and get everything all done today. Got those filters washed. Just got to get them oiled up, and that's ready to go. Got to do the differential fluid. It's clean. Got to do the differential fluid just because I don't know the last time it was done, and beyond that, we still have to do the lower pulley. Got the upper pulley done. I just need to bolt it on correctly, put on the belt, and then got to deal with the exhaust. The car actually has cutouts on it, and as of right now, the cutouts are blocked off with plates underneath, right there. They're blocked off, so on the dyno, that was 100% stock sound, and even then, it's really hard to tell in the video, but it was insanely loud in the shop. So I'm very curious to see how loud it's gonna get, but the only engine code that's popped up on me at all since I bought the car was catalyst low efficiency. So I think the catalytic converters are probably dead or dying, especially because obviously these Jags pop and burble from stock anyways. You get enough of that, it's not easy on catalytic converters. It just is what it is. So we are going to be ditching the catalytic converters in this car, and then I'll be opening the cutouts back up so we can hear it. Got our work cut out for us. Not tons of stuff, but a lot of small things to get finished up today. So thing 1 today, like I say, got the pulley set on last night. Felt like even though it was super late, that was the correct thing to do. Have that little victory at the end of the day. We're coming into the new day fresh without having to fight with that stupid pulley anymore. So we're gonna get this one bolted on, and then I'm going to get the other one pulled off, which if we look over here at the new one, it's actually quite clever the way these are designed. Crank actually has, I don't know if you can see, 2 pulleys. So it's the harmonic balancer that's driven by the back here, and then got the Supercharger pulley on the harmonic balancer in front. So all we're gonna do is there's 6 bolts here that separate the front part of that from the back part of that. Gonna bolt this on, which is larger in diameter. So we've got our new pulley on here, which is smaller in diameter. It's pretty cool the way it's modularly designed, so a guy can go to a different size if ever needed, or go back to stock size if ever needed. Got this all bolted up. Put a little dab of red Loctite on each of these bolts, just because, you know, we really don't want that coming loose, and it's better to be safe than sorry. In a case like that, having Loctite in there can't really hurt anything. Like it definitely can't hurt anything, but it could definitely help something. Got the car up in the air on jack stands. Got these all tightened down, torqued up. Used a white paint pen to mark every bolt, just so that I can keep an eye and see if anything moves. Okay, so we're under the car. I'm gonna pull this pulley off right here. The light's right behind it there. I'll pull that pulley off. You can see the seam line in the middle. So get that unbolted and swapped. Okay, got the old balancer pulley off. The new one, we'll look side by side. Difference is quite a bit bigger. Good. The new one bolted on. Down there. Gonna clean up the bolts. Put some fresh Loctite on. Same thing. We don't want this coming off. Would not be good if it comes off. We get some Loctite on there. Get that on there, and I'll check back in here when we're getting the belt back on Supercharger and all the front assembly stuff back together. Okay, so pulley's installed. Time to get the belt on. It was at this point that things started getting quite exciting, as getting the accessory drive back together on the front of the engine was the signal that we were ready to get the car fired up with the new tune file for the first time and double check that everything was happy and healthy. Accessory drive is all back together on the front of the car. Get our battery reconnected, power back to the car. Just gonna get the flash loaded up. Obviously we still have more to go, but in a case like this, I just like to get it tested, make sure that everything's happy, make sure the car takes the flash, because if it doesn't, I need to get my butt moving and be in touch with velocity. VAP stage 3, it's the one we want, of course. It's the only one on here. It's gonna do its little freak out thing on the dash and start coming up with every fault code known to man on there. That's okay. So, file is loaded. We haven't done the exhaust work yet, but we're gonna check out, make sure it's running happy before we do. Flash is all done and loaded. Ignition on. Have to read. Sure, check engine light makes sense. Everything's been pulled apart and re-put back together, but nothing appears to have blown up just yet. That's just disconnected from battery code, disconnected from the battery code, disconnected from the battery code. Perfect. Rescan to make sure she's happy, give her a clear, and we'll see what happens. Race was successful. Perfect. That's normal. That will disappear with time. Permanent codes don't disappear with the first scan. Give her another fire up. Happy and strong to me. Oh. Go one downpipe out of the car and pull out the other one and kill those broken cats. Oh, look, there's the cause of my cat codes. Broken catalytic converter. So we are going to gut them, toss them back in. It's accounted for in the tune. It's gonna be good to go. One test pipe done. Cat gone. Ready to be reinstalled on the car. All right, both cats are gutted. Time to put them back in the car. See how she sounds. Okay, exhaust is done. The cutouts are open. Downpipes are in. Hear this thing. Probably gonna be pretty loud. Pretty rank. Let's find out. Cameraman in the back. Hopping in. Getting multiple cameramen in the back. Hopping in. Ready? Alright, let's hear this thing. All right, y'all. So the last thing you would have seen would have been about 5 seconds ago for you. For me, that was about 3 weeks ago. I ended up having to leave for work without being able to finish the transmission fluid and the diff fluid. And now I've added another thing to that list, which is lower control arm. The front bushings are worn out and deflecting pretty bad. I've actually drove the car a little bit as is, and it is an absolute animal. But I have been very careful not to get into it too hard, especially because of the rear diff fluid. I don't know when that was done last. The trans fluid I'm less worried about because I did it. I used regular synthetic, whereas I went and ponied up the big bucks to get D6 redline stuff, which is phenomenal. And with the power this car is making, I want that in there. It's definitely not going to hurt to leave the Castrol synthetic that I put in there for a couple thousand kilometers. If nothing else, it'll actually probably be good. A little bit of break-in for the used transmission, and then I'll check fluid and I'll get a chance to see what it looks like with a little bit of drive time. So we're gonna leave that for now. Actually, I do want to get the e-diff fluid done because I don't know when it was done last, and we'll see. But this car hopefully is making around the 600 wheel horsepower mark now, and we don't want a differential to grenade. So we're gonna do that, and we are going to do the control arm bushings because it is deflecting horribly. If we look right here, like you can see that movement at the back of the wheel. Because there's one bushing responsible for all forward and back movement, basically the way these control arms are designed, which means it's easy because it's only one bushing to change. But we still got to change it because there's no vibration in the brake pedal, but there is vibration when braking. Without further ado, let's get right into it and get on these control arms. I'm going to look, if I can help it, I'm going to avoid taking the wheels off just because the center caps on these wheels, all the plastic tabs are broken. So the less I can pull them on and off, the better. Okay, so we're all set up under here. Don't mind my grisly appearance, but we're gonna go. I'll show you here. So we got one bolt. We got a 18 mil, 15 mil, 21 mil. And then on the back side, the bolt is an 18 mil here. I'll get this unbolted, and I'll meet you with you guys in a second with that out of the car. Before I forget as well, these bolts are cam bolts. I'm gonna use my paint pen here. I'm going to mark the location of where the cam bolt is exactly at this moment so we know when it's going back in. We have the same alignment. We got one control arm out. I'm gonna get this bushing swapped. If we look, there's definitely a bunch of cracking and dry age, and I can move it way easier than I should be able to with little to no effort. So we got the press. I'm gonna switch the GoPro to on my head and gonna show you guys how we get this bushing swapped out. Things are already falling apart. All right, the first step in the process of getting these bushings swapped was to grab my caliper and grab measurements of exactly where the bushing was set in the control arm. I'm not too sure if it was going to make too much difference or not to have it exactly the same measurements, but I wanted to keep things as close to identical as I could for the sake of making sure the alignment was good. After this, we went and grabbed the new bushings, made sure to check and measure all dimensions for the new ones versus the old ones, which all checked out, and we had the exact same dimensions, which was good. And then we moved on over to the big press here. I got it all set up so the plates were holding the outer edges of the control arm and was able to walk around the edge of the old bushing to press it on through. And then eventually here, with a little bit of luck and my tools flying all over the place, we managed to get the old bushing pressed through and out. After that, I went over, took the control arm and put it in my vise, grabbed the torches, and heated up the control arm surface so it was a little bit more expanded and ready to take the new bushing. Getting that all set up, grab my rubber mallet, give it a couple of taps to get the new bushing started, and then it actually ended up making more sense, instead of using the press, to use my vise and squeeze the new bushing into place. Eventually here, as I got it all the way through and started, we had to switch over to using some sockets in the vise to hold the outer edges and allow for the bushing to come through. But we got that done and managed to get the bushing pressed into place with the correct measurements that are identical to what it was beforehand. Moving forward with that, we're all set and it was ready to go back in the car. Okay, so that wraps up this part in the shop. My camera didn't cooperate and I wasn't able to get the diff fluid change, but it's quite simple. There is a plug on the side. There's a plug on the side of the diff and a plug on the bottom. Just drain it out, fill to the plug hole, quite simple. The second bushing is done, car is back down on the ground. We should have no more deflection issues and we should be good to go. We're out for a drive in the car. We have got the upper pulley, lower pulley, and tune all installed. And oh my lord, this thing is nuts. I don't know how to describe it beyond that. The torque is instantaneous. If a guy is not careful, this car could get you in so much trouble so fast, it's not even funny. And that is exactly why it is amazing. It puts out so much torque. If a guy's not careful, like it's only got 255 wide tires on the rear right now, which is a bit smaller than stock. And you can tell, if a guy's not careful, you'll light up the rear end in third, and it will punish you if you're not careful and if you're not diligent. The car is an absolute blast to drive. It is so reactive and so ready to party at any moment. It's not even funny. Like, flick a couple paddles down. Oh my god. Yeah, she moves. Very, very, very excited and very happy with everything we've done so far. This car is extremely impressive, considering now we're only into it for around $15,000 total. This is an insane amount of car for that amount of money. I cannot believe it. And it is so much fun to drive, and it is so comfortable. So stoked about this. Can't wait. We're gonna have to do some reaction videos with some people very soon here. Stoked to get it back on the dyno. I've actually decided I've got an ice box that we're gonna install in the trunk, because I think, like, even with a little bit of driving it super early in the morning as it's getting cold here this time of year versus on a couple of the warmer days in the afternoon, it feels a lot spicier on a chilly morning with about a 10 degrees like lower IAT. So I can't wait to see exactly what happens with an icebox install. That should help immensely. And beyond that, guys, like, this car is phenomenal. I cannot believe how much of a performance bargain this thing is. If you look, any of the other alternatives to this car have such headaches. The V10 M5s, the engines are extremely unreliable. The Audi S4s can be very good cars, but again, very unreliable and supposed to be even harder to work on than this. You look at the Cadillac CTS-V, phenomenal car, very expensive. You look at the C63 AMG, phenomenal car, again, very expensive. When you look at the price bracket for what you get, you can't beat these cars. They're phenomenal for what they are, and they are so much fun to drive. So I'm very stoked about this. We'll get you guys a few different action shots here, get a couple shots where you can really hear the exhaust, really hear the supercharger. This car is just a symphony of terrifyingly fun noises wrapped in a package that's trying to kill you if you're not careful, and I think that's brilliant. I've never worked on a Jaguar or touched anything this caliber before owning this car, and I don't regret it a bit. I would trust it to go pretty much anywhere at this point. I've gone through and looked at everything. Everything seems super happy and healthy. Obviously, stock, we made numbers on the dyno that are only a touch below the stock crank rating. I cannot wait to see what it makes now. We're gonna get the icebox installed before it goes back to the dyno, and I'm really, really hoping to see somewhere between 6 and 650 at the wheel. sometimes depreciation can be your friend, and I think with this car, it most definitely is. Thank you very much once again for watching. I really, really appreciate it. All of the watch time that you guys give me means that I can build more, do more. I've got such big plans for this channel. If you're one of the people here watching this from the start, please if you feel so inclined, please hit that subscribe button. There's so many big things coming, and you won't want to miss it. So thank you guys all. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Here is a symphony of noises from a beautiful V8 supercharged Jaguar. We got a lovely Hutterite friend who wants to watch us pull out.
He wanted to see what it was all about.
Everybody likes the car.
It's hard to hate this car.
Especially like considering this car has only cost me $15.
Yeah, it's magical. I'll probably do it. He's still here.
He's loving it.
He wants all the smoke.
Guy's just having a time.